Hello, and welcome to your demo. Sorry this wasn't quite as quick as I wanted it to be. We're under 14 inches of snow right now. Shit popped off. It's crazy. You're in California, so you probably don't know what snow looks like, but it's pretty nuts out here. But yeah, let's get rolling. Also, it's a long as fuck demo. Let's go. Sorry, I'm delirious, but it's good. So, my only issue with the way you're playing this is it's very easy for him to see your shoulder before you can see him because he's coming from the left. You're holding on the right, which means your shoulder's going to be showing on the right. He'll kind of see you and then be able to aim. I tend to hold this like a lot tighter if I'm going to try to hold it, so I kind of just like thread the gap because if you don't, you're already like it's really easy for them to just run past you, So you're basically just like saying, I'm going to fight in the open, and I'm going to hope to win the duel. And in this case, you do win the duel. It's just you can see how much it's not like you're actually holding in that angle. You're more like spotting, and it's such an open angle to just be spotting for people. So you got to be careful with that one. I just wanted to talk about it. And then, yeah, that was your pistol round. Easy Scout Lord. So since you know you're against an eco, yeah, you'll want to be careful when you go for plays like this. So like, miss the shot and then maybe dip. Because if you're not careful, what could happen is the guy could be close on the wall, and then he just tries to delete you. It's just like a preference thing. But in this case, it's fine because of the way you're playing it. You played it really well. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of the guy that could be like close on that wall and just like basically hunting down your chupacabra nuts and deleting you. Which is not something we want, obviously. Okay, now once they have guns, this angle is not nearly as powerful because if an op or even an AK were to peek you in it, it's very, very easy for them to spot you and kill you. So you're going to want to hold tighter on the wall. So if you notice as you move right, you can actually see a little bit more of the left side and line up your shot a little better. That's how you kind of want to play against rifles, because if you're playing more open like this where your entire body is showing, it's incredibly easy to get murdered. So you want to be careful with that. Right here, this is an awareness thing. You heard the vent break, but that was a little too late because he very easily could have been right there and ready to murder your face off. So you got to be careful with that you don't like hear it and then react. And then right here, this is just, I think you know what I'm going to say by this point. What the fuck? You're just in the wide open, walking towards shit. Now, I know, like, your team's like, they're coming in, and everything, but it's just, it's such a bad habit to have where you kind of just, like, are walking towards things without putting your cross around them, without being actually truly prepared. Now, you did a good thing you switched to your deagle, but you should have switched to your deagle, then started walking towards it and peeked into it. It's just one of those habits you want to build because someone could very well lurk you right there and just deliver the big dick. Again, same thing when you swing out mid here. If you're going to come out mid, just clear the angles, like, be deliberate. So you come out, be like, boom, boom, boom. And you can do that quickly. So you just hit them with, like, you hit them like this. You just go, And then you just kind of make sure your crosshair goes towards the angle, though, that you're wanting to clear as you come out. Oh, boy. Oh, Twitter link. Wonderful. Oh, I hope it's about me. I have no clue what's happening. Not important. But you saw what I'm talking about where you were just completely, wow, my eye hurts. You were just completely overlooking the angles as you went towards them. You did the same thing at B, and then it habit into mid. You weren't really clearing angles. You just kind of walked out. It's just a good habit to build to just treat angles like they're occupied, even when rotating. Bro, I want this thing to go away. Thank you, Lord Almighty. Yeah, so that's the key to fixing that habit is treating every angle like it can murder you at any point, so that way you can fix it when you're sitting at B, fix it when you go out mid, that kind of stuff. In this case, this is probably around you want to just save because you have the armor and it's honestly worth. But if you want to fight them, you can. It's just because you're so far away that it's going to be really hard to do. You see what I mean? Like, you're already so zoned out. But if you want to go for exits, it is also smart to go for exits because they are low in money. So that's kind of like a cost-benefit thing. Like, you just want to think about, like, how screwed are you, basically? What the fuck is going on? Bro, I'm triggered right now. I'm literally triggered. 1 second, sorry. Everything is popping off on my WhatsApp and shit. I feel like someone shit talked to me. One sec. Oh, okay. It's nothing. Jesus Christ. My fucking WhatsApp from my team starts popping off, too, at the same time as that guy sends that. Okay, right there, I think you know what I'm going to say, so I'll back it up, actually, just talk about it. You've got to clear the angles. So start left to right and take them. That's not one where you actually want to clear. You want to do more of an info peek. So you just give it a shoulder peek, don't see them. Give it a shoulder peek, don't see them. If they shoot at you, don't swing because you're too far range for the 5.7 to really do anything. But if you're going to come and take this one, you just swung into the open, didn't have your crosshair on anything, didn't clear the close corner. So this is where it's important to follow rule 2 of peeking. Always shoulder peek when it's more than one angle. Give it an info peek, get your shit in order. That way this guy doesn't get to almost kill you here. So literally all you had to do was just boom, boom, boom. So what I would have done is here, here, okay, don't see him, okay, don't see him, and then clear. That's how you do it. This one right here, when you rotate back through, this is just a common thing that happens. You are peeking into an angle, but you're not actively ready to fight said angle. It's a similar habit to when you're just kind of standing in front of B main, reloading your gun, or whipping out your deagle. You've got to be, like, actually, like, thinking about things like that, because you thought about it, but you thought about it in the sense of, like, oh, I should look towards this. But it made a lot of sense that he could be coming through there at that point, because the guy was lurking B, and your team had no mid. So it's one of those things where you want to be, like, committed to it if you're going to look at it anyways, so that you peek into vent, not just kind of meander in holding it. Like, because at that point you have nothing to lose by kind of treating vent like it's occupied. Because that's what you're next fighting. Make an assumption, play for that assumption, because you can. You don't lose anything. Right here, this is just, you're incredibly wide open in mid. I would just be really paranoid about this, and there's only 2 alive, and your teammate still has A. You're holding for a cross that he's going to be able to deal with, and you're leaving yourself completely exposed. Anytime you, like, they kind of just stop, or you're not really getting info about it, that's when you want to say, okay, they might be pulling some bullshit, I want to be passive, I want to chill in mid. You don't want to be doing plays like this unless you know there's 2 guys coming out A, there's 2 alive, I'm good. That's when you know, okay, I can take that risk of just standing in the open, when you have a little more info. But when you really don't know anything, and you know they aren't actually fully taking your sight yet, that's not the time to just stand in the wide open and take that risk. This is an angle you really can't even play with a 5.7, so I wouldn't even, like, consider playing it, because you realize, like, if they swing, they're going to see your leg and shit, and then they're going to be pretty far away, and the 5.7's going to have a rough time. You're much better off sitting on sight and baiting them in or something. This angle just don't work like you think it does, because when they come to peek you, they're going to peek you from deep unless they're, like, an idiot, and then even when they peek you close, you have to hope he's alone. If he wasn't alone right there, you die instantly. So you see what I mean? Like, even when you have success, like, you're technically not in the greatest position, but hey, it worked, I guess. But again, against potatoes, yes. Against someone with a brain, they're not going to peek close tree for that very reason, that they don't want to have to get dicked by something close on the wall. So, just, it's basically like, you shouldn't do it, but it might work. That's the gist of that angle. And I think you probably get why it's not the greatest idea, because of just the angle type you're taking. Right here, like, I think you got confused, but this has got to be an awareness thing. Like, you literally just walked out in the open, made a fuck ton of noise, and basically begged someone to murder you. And all while also being the only guy left on your site. So you definitely don't want to do that. Just be patient. Chillax, especially on an eco like this where you're about to win a round that you really need. Just chillax. Just kind of chill, spot towards shit. Don't make any big rash decisions because you don't need to. You're just waiting for info so that your team can do stuff. Try to avoid playing like this. Just hold some things and just spot them. Don't, like, walk in between them. Just spot them. So that way that what just happened to you doesn't happen. Or what just happened with the guy lurking doesn't happen. Which, what the fuck he thought he was going to do while lurking is beyond me, because he has no time. But, you know, whatevs. So yeah, you see what I mean? Like, where you were kind of walking between, and if he'd actually peeked, you probably would have died. Whereas if you just hit him with shoulder peeks and you know, give him the info dick, you can just spot him out, and then you know what's happening. And then you can just chill and wait on your teammate to help. Again, you could easily get peeked from close left, and then you're going to have to flick, and they can just delete you. It's one of those things where I don't like to hold the angle like that. I very much like to hold it very tight from the right side as much as I can. Holding from the left side leaves you very exposed. It's kind of preference, but it is easier to get killed if you're holding from the left. Okay, good job clearing this, except you didn't clear all the way to the right until it was almost too late, and you would have been dead. So you want to make sure you're continuing to clear to the right, not kind of like just kind of doing it after you're already exposed. And then again here, always trying to think about what could happen. So in the sense of, like, well, what's been open? Well, A's been open and B's been open. So they could be a guy truck, there could be a guy highway, technically. There could be a guy flanking me through B if they pushed. So you just want to think, like, at all times on this type of round where you no longer have info, you have no control. Okay, I'm going to be murdered. You know, like, they're going to be everywhere. And that way you actively come around there and you're just clearing towards the tree out of habit. You want to build the habit of always being alert in that type of situation where you don't have any info and you don't know what's happening. This isn't exactly how you want to play with a deagle. This would be more of a 5-7 strat, but, you know, whatever floats your boat in this situation, it's a force, so you can do whatever you want. Easy peasy for my man Gohoti. think you just collided them. You did. Holy shit. But yeah, good job getting that guy. So you played this like well, like as good as you could. But again, I wouldn't play that with a deagle, which I guess it worked out because you got the clap. But I like the 5-7 in that situation. Now you're just relaxing, chillaxing, up to no good, hoping your mama doesn't break your fingers in the neighborhood. Dude, my feet are so fucking cold. It's like 20 degrees outside and there's snow on the top of everything. So the house is like a refrigerator. This is not a good angle for you, considering he'd be able to see your leg before you could see him. It's just one of those angles that you feel like, oh, man, this might work, but you're almost always lose and die. I'm telling you right now, you never want to play angles like this unless you like have the more of the edge than them, so like you can see a lot of the bottom. That means you're probably the advantage. But when you can only see a little bit, that means they probably have the advantage. Again, another angle where you're gonna get spotted before you can really see them, so you got to be careful trying to play that. Again, right there, awareness. Your teammate killed him, so you should look towards the death thing, and you get to see that yellow X on the. You get to see, not yellow, a red X appear on the radar. You had like everything to know that you didn't need to turn around there, and it could have been your life had it turned out a little differently. So you want to make sure you're keeping track of that stuff like as it's happening, so you kind of just spot towards it with like your peripheral vision type thing. That way you're not accidentally turning around in the worst case scenario, getting yourself murdered. Bum 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 bum. Oh, rest in peace. Bum 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 bum. So you didn't do too bad there, reacting and using utility. Just be careful that you don't stand out in the wide open for too long with your utility out. It will lead to death, and death is not a good thing. Again, here, like you're backing off, cool. Just be careful. Like you don't really have to show yourself in the wide open when you could just move yourself through the like headshot area and be a little bit safer. That's the kind of thing you want to do. Okay. Good job. Good peek. This is one of those scenarios where you do show good awareness, so I like that. And that you were like ready for this guy because you're learning to kind of read situations. That's good. You just got to keep this up even when it's not like a clutch. That's the big difference that you're missing out here. Is you're continually you're not doing this always, and that's the issue. And then right here, again, you got to just keep track of what could be so that you at least give it like a good spotting towards. So you want to check highway if you cross it, because there's just like I know there's a lot to look at, but you just give it like a flick towards it type thing, or as you get hidden at forklift, do it, because it's just one of those things where you've got to kind of treat it like it could be occupied because you just don't know. And I know it sounds impossible, but basically in that type of clutch, what you're hoping to do is clear everything without getting yourself killed, because you have to clear everything to have any chance, because you're gonna need to find them. Again, I think you can probably see why this isn't the greatest here, and it will meme you about. Sorry, I was distracted as fuck right there, looking at the radar. Yeah, but that's the type of round where nothing happens, obviously. You know it by this point. I was just distracted. I'm distracted as fuck, my bad. I keep having to fucking check shit. Again, I don't like to hold like that. There's not much to talk about, but I just want to... I was using the time to look at something. If you need to skip that. Okay, right here. Stop running. You have no clue where they actually are. You have no clue what's actually happening. And now you're sprinting and making noise on this flank. Just shift walk. Unless you know where they are, unless you have confirmation, you cannot run on flanks like this. You've done it twice now, and both times it's risked your biscuits and almost gotten you killed. So you've got to slow down on those flanks. You don't have info. You don't know enough to like react properly. So just shift walk it out. Maybe scope in early so you can clear things, and then just hold some stuff. Especially what you should have done is just stop and hold anyways, because you didn't have info anymore and you didn't know what was happening. That's a great sign to just stop and hold. You know what I'm saying? In this case, you were just holding not the greatest angle with your op, but it wasn't like too bad. so there's not much. But that whole scenario, you should have just been holding, waiting on them. Because once they stop making noise towards A and you lose track of what they're actually doing, that is the bat signal to you that I need to just chill. Because they might come back my area, you know, they might come back to me, and they told you that by not moving anywhere. Oof, nice. But again, you're so exposed, and I think you can see that. It's just, you've got to be really deliberate with these op peaks on Cache B, because if you're not, and you get caught for like 1 second, it's all over. Right there, you just get deleted. It's one of those things where if you feel like you've lost the angle to them, like they have it already, you can't go back re-peeking into it. It just leads to pretty much instant death. Okay, running back for our Fromage. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, why? The smoke lineup is sit in front of that tire, aim at the top of the sickle. Do not sprint towards the things while you're doing it. I think I've said this to you before. Wing towards danger. You really do not want to run towards the angles that you could possibly die from. Treat them like what they are. Places people peek, and that way you aren't just positioning yourself running right in front of it. This is not a terrible reposition. You just kind of missed some shots for a second there. Like you did a good thing, and that you got over there, but then you just lost track of what was happening, and that's gonna happen. But had you thrown that smoke properly, honestly, you probably would have just slipped into sight. And that's the other thing, is that you probably just want to get into sight in this scenario because that's where your teammate is, and you know that they're gonna throw the cross smoke and kind of isolate you out. So it's like a catch-22, but also you really just, it's always kind of preferred if you can get to the site with the teammate. Once they are already, you know, making themselves known, you're probably gonna end up having a better outcome. Bump bump bana. T-pistol. Crosshair placement, which has happened a few times. I just haven't mentioned it too much. That one's better. Obviously, you fixed it. But you can see where, like, you could have easily just gotten one tapped, and you're just... That's one of those peaks where I don't recommend taking it on a pistol because you inherently have the disadvantage by having a Glock and him having a USP. So there's really nothing that you can really say that, like, justifies that peak. Now, getting across the site here was actually a good call because you can help your teammate a little bit more with his plants. But your teammate's not planning, so now everything gets a lot harder. And it basically screwed you over if you had died that highway there, because you're kind of forced into these type of fights now. So this one's not your fault. Your teammate just kind of boned you. But what you need to do is, while you still know where both of them are, I would get the bomb, okay? Now, I know you just killed that guy, but if you take all that time to not get bomb and like you wait, that guy could have very easily just held the bomb if he was a smart player with his other teammate coming up highway, and they could have pinched you. So while you do know where both people are, that's a good time to kind of force a fight with the one guy and get the bomb while you're doing it. In this case, you killed him instantly and got the bomb anyways, but a lot of people aren't going to push you like a fucking moron when the bomb's down. Right here, again, noise and like peaks, you don't want to be making noise in this scenario. You're in a 1v1, you don't want them to know exactly where you are. All you have to do is just take nice quiet shoulder peeks or like, you know, counter strafes into the peak that you want so you can just find the guy out. If you're making a ton of noise, you're moving a lot, you're going to give him the advantage of knowing where you are and let him make a good play that he gets to think about. And you don't want him to be able to think about what he's doing. You want to make him react. Dun, 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 and that's just an overswing. So you've noticed you're completely exposed, crosshair wasn't on the angle, and you were basically begging to die. And that's why overswings are so easy, or so important that you don't overswing on anti-ecos or anti-force buys, is because it is very easy to get punished, because that's what they're holding for, is for you to swing out. So you want to, like I've said before, you've got to be deliberate on anti-ecos. You've got to say, okay, this is my peak, I'm going to win this peak, I'm going to take this fight. If you just kind of clear areas against anti-ecos, oftentimes you'll just die, because it's just not viable because of the way people play with pistols. This round is an eco where you're just kind of standing around. Obviously, there's not much to talk about. Again, another force buy. This is a crosshair placement thing coming up. Wait for it, 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 wait for it. Okay, wait for it. Whenever you know, like, there's a weird-ass smoke down, I didn't mean to say crosshair, so I meant to say a positioning thing. Whenever you know there's, like, a weird-ass smoke down, it's pretty much never going to be in your favor to kind of walk towards that smoke unless you're there already. Like, if you come into an area and the weird smoke's down, that means he's had time to play around it normally, so you want to be really careful about it. You kind of just want to wait it out. Because what will happen is if you wait out the smoke, he'll do something with said smoke, and if you're playing for it, even though you don't know what it is, you often will get a, you know, oh, wait, fuck, stop. You often will get a kill, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll very often when it's a weird smoke like that. So you want to play for that. Don't feel like you need to work your way in there unless you're already there when the smoke comes down. Then you have a position where you can do that. Right there, you just swung right into the angle without scoping in. It's one of those things where these are angles that you just have to practice with the op. So you want to like scope it on the left, and then you want to be scoping in as you crouch to peek into checkers. You really don't want to just kind of sling your arm out there without being scoped in, which is what you can do for some angles. But for that angle, they're already going to be in position if they're playing it, which means you're basically saying, if you're opping here, kill me. So you want to be much more precise with that peek. You got to crouch into it, scope in as you're crouching. That's how you take that op duel, because that is an op expected angle most of the time. Similar with that one, wasn't as bad though. Didn't take as long. Sorry, it's late. Good job. You just held him, legged him. You were a little overexposed to checkers because you weren't quite stuck on the wall, but you were too close to the wall. You could have backed over to your left, but that's kind of just like a personal preference thing. I just don't risk that type of thing. But you're doing okay here. Right here, though, again, just awareness. You're just forgetting to think about what can kill you. Look at the radar, and all you have to learn is what are the places that I often get killed from, and then clear them. That's it. You just treat them like they could be occupied, because you just don't know anything. Unless you killed, like, 3 dudes towards B, then you probably know you're okay. So, like, all you have to do is get into the corner over there, the one opposite from Snacks, and just check for feet and vent. But you've got to think like that. You've got to think, like, where's the place that I often die from, and why do I have to clear it? You know what I mean? Good job just waiting on this guy and, keeping your crosshair towards something useful while you're waiting. That's good. On forces, a lot of the time people end up kind of just not aiming towards anything and getting themselves killed. My entire back is just in incredible pain. And then you just get flanked and die. Dude, I think I might be getting sick. So right here, if you're going to hold for like some kind of push on the right side, you really don't want to be moving, because what will happen is the guy will just like spam into your like crotch and legs. So you really want to just post up on something like that if it's going to happen. Rolling through the smoke. So now you're out mid. What's the play? Well, first thing I would have done was probably break vent, because then they get kind of scared about it. But that's just my personal preference. I like to just, whenever my teammates are like towards A, I would break vent, because then the other team might kind of overreact and start rotating towards B. It's something you can do. But now you're playing the full lurk, which is cool, but you really don't want to do something like jump over the thing. Honestly, because you could have held that angle without jumping over. And if you get caught while jumping over, you're going to feel really bad. So just either sneak up the ramp, or if you are going to jump over, give it a little bit more time so you actually hold for the crosses. Because your teammates just got to A. That's when you're most expecting them to come cross in front of Z. That's like the exact time you don't want to be jumping up and over that fence. You know what I mean? So kind of try and pay attention to what your teammates are doing and how that would prompt a response, so you don't accidentally do small things like that might get you killed. Now they're on an eco, crosshair placement, again. You just got to be really careful on these rounds. You're just playing them, for some reason, every time they're on eco, you like start playing really, really dangerously. As you can probably tell, you just kind of like ran out mid, which is like cool because your teammate's out, but also like you don't want to like run out mid and be in the wide open throwing a molly, because if there is someone piece the pistol and you have a molly out, it's like bad news bears. Now you guys are heading towards B. That was decent crosshair placement, and then you just didn't counter straight properly right there. So then once you catch this guy going, and you spot your teammate going out, that's good, you went with him. So all of this you did like the best you could. Obviously you didn't do it as like perfect or like as great as like, someone who was more experienced, but you did well. You reacted properly to the information, you went to go help your teammate instead of kind of dilly-dallying. All of that was good. Now your aim and your crosshair placement would be things that you need to stop, and then that counter straight. Good job being prepared for a peek as you come out mid, but again, white box you're just completely ignoring. And you luckily remember to clear sandbags, but you don't actually do it. So that's another one of those things where if you're going to go near it and you're going to think about it, you may as well just clear it. Don't just like bail on this thing that you started to do. If you think it kills you a bunch or it's something that needs to be cleared, clear it every time. Dun 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 dun. And obviously you're playing like a decent game, not decent, well, you're playing like a good game because you're like 21-14, but you can still see where there's these habitual like things you're doing that are putting you at large risk pretty often, and they've gotten you killed on rounds when you really didn't have to die, or you could have gotten more kills. You could add more impact. So it's one of those things you just want to work on. Or you really want to focus even on good games where you have these habits that are still murdering you. So through the smoke, now you want to throw that higher and just a little bit higher, like aim towards that line, but to the left. And then right here, you throwing the molly's fine. Just what I'll tell you is like, if you're going to throw one of the mollies, if your teammate's already out, I would throw quad. Because your teammate's going to be able to swing with you to fight Vince, but quad, he could swing before your teammate was actually able to turn, and then he dies. So like, once someone's already out, that's a good time to molly quad. If you're like kind of executing an A, molly Vince. Really well played here on the clutch. Like in the sense that you took your fights properly, you didn't overswing, you just kept yourself in line with what you were trying to fight and got both kills. All of that was played well. The bad way to play that would have been to keep moving, try and swing across or something. If you're seeing duels, you're taking duels, just put yourself in a place to take them. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want to do in a clutch like that. When you're just trying to hit shots, because that's what you have to do, commit to it. Don't be like scared and moving around a ton. And then, honestly, it's a big dick play, but it's in clutches like that, that's not like a wrong play. Like, you made a read and you stuck to it and it worked. And your read made sense because you expected him to be a rotate. Now, if he'd come highway, you'd have been a sad panda, though. Right, so you're holding on the edge of a smoke that they can't walk through, so that's, again, like an awareness thing. Pay attention to if it makes sense. You see that you're holding the wall part, and then so when he does walk through, you're, like, already too focused, I guess. So what I mean is, like, when you're aiming, like, right here, he's technically going to walk across, but he's not actually going to, like, walk through here. So it's like it's just something you want to be careful about, because what will happen is if you aim too deep and they come like through here, you'll get bamboozled. But it's a really small detail. It's hard to explain also, because until it happens to you, you won't know what I mean. So it doesn't work. It doesn't make a ton of sense from that one. It's something about depth and like close peaks. People can't hit the reverse like backing to the left flick. It's hard to explain. Just be careful that you're not getting pushed close and accidentally holding for too deep. Okay, so that was an awareness thing. I accidentally... Holy shit, this is taking forever. Okay, so this is, again, an awareness thing. So right here, your teammate gets killed B. That means there's no one B. That means they pushed and fought B. Another teammate dies. You still haven't reacted. You didn't look at radar. You didn't hear your teammates. You didn't do anything. This is a big what the hell. This should not happen at this point when you've been playing this long, because there was so many signs. They both died, first off, so you see that on the kill feed. Second thing, they were all on radar when they died. Third thing, they both saw them pushing, and they probably called it out. So you've got to not let that kind of shit happen. That's so small and so, like, that's so basic, you know? Like, that is just, like, you forgot to play the game for a second and pay attention. You keep defaulting into this mid and just kind of, like, staring at it. I don't know why. It's not like the worst default in the world, you know what I mean? But it's like, you're just not, you could be doing more things. Like, you were doing okay at taking B control and getting a good B default. You know what I mean? So make sure you're kind of paying attention to what your team might need and like where your team has had success and stuff, because if you're just kind of sitting mid every round, it's one of those things where if you're not boost, what are you really getting control of in just like Z? Like in not Z, in like garage here. It's just, you want to kind of pay attention to, like, what am I actually accomplishing? And if it's, like, nothing for the first 45 seconds, and you had a teammate holding it, that means it's probably, you want to just, like, dip. You want to go somewhere else, somewhere more useful. Good job to your teammate. Good job predicting that guy and coming to the boost. And good peek. You stayed close to the wall, kept it clean. That's good. That is something I like to see. Decent crosshair placement. A little too far wide to the right, but that's going to happen. Well done. You came back to the left to isolate him back out more so he couldn't see your shoulders easily. Perfectly done. All of that. So you see, like, you're doing a lot of mechanical things actually really right. It's just these habits that you're having that are just, they're giving me the heebie-jeebies. I'm getting a little worried for you sometimes. And then other times you just, like, completely blink or something like that. So you break vent, drop down, overswing like a fucking madman. Didn't clear right side, swung all the way immediately open to the left. Didn't have your cross on anything realistic, and then the guy comes tree and just murders both of you. So it's one of those things where, like, if you're going to kind of swing out like that, I would honestly just start moving forward. Because if you don't move forward as you're swinging out, you're getting nothing and also overswinging. So it's like you either clear them all really concisely or you push out. Because if you clear them all concisely, you're in a position where you can immediately come back out and fight the guy at tree because you know what you're doing, you know what your angles are. Boosting a boy up, he gets deleted. and now you're all sitting in mid. So again, this is just one of those things that happens where you kind of just fall into like a routine, and then now you're not really accomplishing anything for the first 50 seconds of the round. Now you boosted to people, so that's good. But you still see what I mean about this, like, not getting anything done. You did overlook him on the right, but you corrected it and murdered him. And now you know left side, right side. Clear left, clear right. You've got to go through the motions. Once you see someone push that far up, you are right that you want to take the site. I would go even faster than how you are here. Because you saw him pushed up, that normally means he's going to call for a rotate to somewhere else, and you can get some control of a site. Instead, you did rotate, or you did get in, but you only got into here, and now they have a guy back on site. And you did get another kill, but you could have gotten these kills and kept your site, more than likely. And then here, you just don't pay attention to what you know. You knew one guy snuck up, so you know that they could be sight because of the way the smoke was, and instead you leave it around because you don't recognize that. So pay attention to what you've done and what you've learned, and what you as a like player have seen, like outright. Like you saw the guy close, which means okay, there could be someone sight because he's already snuck his way up. That means they had the early rotate. So you've got to think, like, what did I do? Okay, I didn't get enough control. That guy can probably be on site. And just play it like that. Clear the site out. Don't assume anything at that point, because you've already seen how committed they were to that rotate. Crosshair placement there, just too far on the left. Done, 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 done. Good clear. A little overswing to the right. Again, right here, a little overswing. You had to correct your crosshair when you weren't actually pointed onto it. These are the very small angles, or like small angle mess-ups that you notice. Those, when you hold angles, though, you do really well at the moment. But you're just losing the duels where you're just overswinging those like small amounts that once you're playing good players like you do on ESEA, they start to punish it. And luckily they didn't this time, but it's happened several other times. This is actually a good decision to kind of lurk over the edge. You catch the guy off, you kind of give your teammate a little bit of pressure, and then anytime you see one of those smokes dissipating, start looking for motherfuckers to be tooling dumb shit. Because anytime a smoke dissipates like that, you just never know. So you just want to give it a little bit of extra care. Not like stare right at it, but just kind of give it a little bit of extra thought and be like, okay, this guy might be coming out. Bump, bump, banana. OT, OT. I might be talking a little fast. I just realized that because I just don't feel super great. But I'm still trying to, like, hopefully be coherent. Okay, so this is just, again, another mistake. Now, I know I just said, well, don't just go stare at mid. But when your whole team's committed to A, you're the lurk, you're the flank holder, that's the time when it becomes, like, just kind of clear shit. You know, like, hold things, clear, move. Hold things, clear, move. Like, if you're going to be on this side, just understand when things need to be cleared. And in this case, okay, you're coming towards mid. You haven't cleared anything on mid. They could shift walk through mid, so just clear it. Move along. You're not actually committing to going to holding B or, like, throwing a fake or anything. So you've got to learn to, like, see, like, okay, radar. They're all towards A. I'm in mid. I need to be diligent. I need to clear things. I need to be aware of things. That's my job. I have no one to trade me. You know, you have to change the way you play just based off of, like, what you're seeing. And what you're seeing is whole teammates away from you. You're the only guy mid. That's the round when it could be that he might push, and it would be really bad because you're the only person that can see it. So that's, you just raise your security level up a little bit. That's an important game sense thing you need to learn, is to put together, like, how you want to play differently based off of what you're seeing. Just, like, not even just, like, your positioning wise, but just in general, like, your mindset wise and what you're trying to accomplish. You just got kind of wrecked. Again, these aren't angles you want to be holding like this because you're so deep to the right that they can start seeing your legs and shit. You won't even see them. You've got to be really careful with those types of positionings where you're just kind of keeping yourself out of place and in danger. I would have definitely waited out the smoke here. Now, luckily, you catch the guy off guard. But I definitely probably would have waited out the smoke because then you could have kind of just slid in and did that without any risk. Luckily, it works out. The guy's a pod bot, but it's one of those things. Good job. Very good positioning. Waited on the guy. So see, sometimes you really have a great idea about what's happening. You make a good-ass read. Other times you get yourself potatoed because you're just kind of forgetting that things are happening. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, let's rewind. I didn't mean to press. Okay, and crosshair placement. Simple as that. You overpeaked, didn't have the crosshair ready, tried to hit the flick, it was too late. If you had been aiming towards him immediately, you probably would have hit him. You know what I mean? Like, if you would come around that corner, pre-aimed, ready to scope in on that corner, I bet you kill him. But because you didn't, because you did miss that, that means the next time you go there, I need you to try and fix it. You actively have to practice those types of peaks, otherwise it will continue to happen and you will be a sad boy. Here we go, op round, baby. We got fucking every op in the world and an auto. God's here. you definitely don't want to do that. So you saw how you like jumped down, you were late because your teammate. Do not just like out of like sheer willpower, like, oh, I just want to peek this. Do not do that. It will get you killed so often. If you get fucked, if you were late, if you were unable to come into this angle before they could get there, like you see he was already there, don't do it. Save yourself the tears, because like if you can train yourself to not peek into shit like that when you're late and just like accept the fact that, okay, I got screwed over, you will do so much better. Good. Again, checking Z. In this case, you're pretty much completely boned. It's one of those times that you basically just have to, like I said, clear everything and hope you hit some shit. With an op, it's all the best thing that you can really hope for is that you hold something and get a kill, and then you kind of start moving things. In this case, you were pretty much fucked. I would have probably waited truck and just waited on smokes and shit to dissipate because I had an op, but it's just personal preference. You might want to get close and see if you can pull a bamboozle. You really can't do anything. You can't predict those. You can't know how aggressive they're gonna play. It happens. And again, right there, you see, if he hadn't whiffed, because he did shoot before you, he could have killed you. So you see how it's kind of easy if you're not holding tight enough on the right for that guy to kind of bamboozle the shit out of you. But you did kill him, so good job. But it is pretty easy to get for him to just kind of peek and murder you. I would not slow peek this angle, and you didn't even peek the right angle, because if someone were holding it, most of the time they're going to hold from like deeper spawn on top of the wall or something. And when you do want to peek into it, you probably want to kind of hit that right side without a short peek. It's kind of confusing. Because you killed the guy, I would have peeked with a very like deliberate peek into the right, but that's just kind of my preference. Now we're rotating. So 2v1. Your teammates see one guy in sight. At this point, you don't really have any info on a highway flank, but what you need to do here is you only see one guy on sight. Everything now becomes suspicious. He could be A-main, he could be quad, he could be highway. Start to think, like, why isn't this guy fighting? And then you'll kind of put the picture together of where he could be. So if you think, like, why am I only seeing one? So he's probably either quad, A-main, or highway. And you know that because he's probably either hiding quad, hiding A-main, or hiding highway. So you have to treat all of them basically the same until you get some more info. Yeah. So that's the end. The big three things. First one, you've got to be clearing angles like you mean it. So what I mean by that is you got to think like, okay, I'm walking out in the open at B, so I need to be actively holding an angle. And then I'm walking out in mid, I need to be actively clearing angles. I need to like, okay, bottom... Something is fucked up in my headphones. Bottom right of white box, top of white box, Z. Think about the angles you're going into, so you build the habit of just clearing them as you move. Don't have to think about it. You've got to build that habit now, otherwise you're going to continue to get murdered. Second thing, the over peaks in general. You keep peeking past angles when you do try to peek them. So you're just showing yourself and your crosshair's getting ahead of you or behind you. You've got to lead with your crosshair. Rule 3 of crosshairs, lead with your crosshair. Don't let that shoulder get too far ahead of the crosshair, because what's happening is you're having to correct. It's getting you killed. You want to be able to say, like, okay, this one is where I'm now. Okay, boom, counter strafe right. That takes practice. You have to work on your counter strafing and your crosshair placement together. That's where if you want to keep getting better and beating better and better players, you've got to clean it up. Third thing, positioning wise, you're playing like, how do I put it? You're playing like too open. So you're playing very much like you're trying to do everything, and that's not how you want to build your playstyle. You want to be very okay with just waiting and chilling. And I think I've said that before, but it's more like a playstyle thing at this point where you're just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to kind of run up here in the open, or I'm going to run on the flank. Be more patient. I feel like I've said that in like the last 3 demos. But it's legit. Like, you just saw you pushed and made noise on the sides when you went out. You overswung the angle close B main. If you don't have that patience, it's going to get really hard to be consistent against good players, because they're going to punish the shit out of it. Let me know if you have questions. Sorry this was delayed. Sorry I don't have my normal, like, full-on enthusiasm. I'm just not feeling great. But I'll send this your way.